in the wave. Truth in the rhythm like a stone from the grave. From the wood to the mic, we're paving the way.
Two brothers talking, yeah, we're walking the walk.
Faith on the beat, real talk, no chalk. Bounce to the truth, let the speakers unlock. Two voices, one mission to spark. Light in the dark like a flame in the park. Two brothers talking like the
We're back.
We are back.
Sorry about that.
Yep. So we definitely had a little internet glitch there. I don't know what was going on there, but we'll keep rolling. So, and I do think I do see something was wrong along the way, but we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
So as it relates to your question, like when you think about how I guess mothers, are somewhat like either we don't like say the negative side, or we celebrate maybe more than we should. The last thing I would mention is I think mothers are less reactive to feedback, and fathers are very reactive to feedback. So we don't really talk about dads too much one way or the other, like compared to how much we talk about mothers.
I would say dads are used to the critique. But if you look at a mom who has gone through a lot to keep her family healthy and whole, and then you critique them, you're definitely going to get some feedback. You're going to get some resistance to have that conversation, and rightfully so, depending on the situation. Rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
When it cut off, I asked you were talking about the relationship you had with your mom and how close you were, and how you hesitate to kind of share that sometimes. And I asked you why do you say that? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. I was curious as to why you made that comment.
Why I made the comment of like why I wouldn't say that to people outside of.
Yeah, you see, you were kind of hesitant to mention that.
Well, I just think that I wouldn't want to paint with too broad of a stroke.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I know me and my mom's relationship, so and she was a single mother for most of my childhood. So like I think about the conversations her and I had.
Uh-huh.
I don't know that those conversations are always applicable outside of what her and I had, you know what I mean? Because we talked about some things that were like really, really, I think, very vulnerable.
Uh-huh.
And she had a high degree of emotional awareness, and I think that allowed us. And then she was open with me to talk to me about it, because that helped me learn. Like I learned so much about understanding what a woman would go through every day, or a mother would go through, by just listening to her.
Right.
And she like I haven't met a whole lot of people that had that even can, I feel, have the emotional impact on me that she had. Like I learned so much. So I just don't know that that's always true across the board. And then also I don't know that everybody, including mothers, are comfortable talking about some of those things. Like I've never had that conversation with anyone other than my wife and my mom. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And it speaks to as kids, you're probably more mature. You welcome those conversations. They were very beneficial to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As kids grow up, you never know like the impact of not having a father around, or the impact of having that mom there, having a strong mom presence in your life. I think like that's the hard part about this conversation is like, you can't really negate any aspect of what people bring to the table.
Mm-hmm.
If the mom has to do double work, sometimes we don't even really know like the impact on her. We don't really always see the impact on that child, where it's like, yes, you're getting these things from your mom, but then you sacrifice, like nobody can do everything. And so I think at the end of the day, it speaks to like why the family is so important, because you can't even really gauge like what the impact is of not having that dad there, or having a mom there that's overworked, or like the mental stress, the spiritual weight that they carry. Like it just speaks to why we need the family to be strong. Even a family that is, there's divorce there.
Yeah.
It is very important for that mom, that dad to suck it up and figure out, how do we co-parent this child? Because that child needs both those parents in their life. They need two healthy parents in their life. Let me say it that way.
Yeah. So yeah, that's right. So I think like that's a good segue into what's the cost of that, right? What's the cost to the mother, and then what's the cost to the family? I think when you just said that, it gave me a flashback of I'm a father in a ready-made home, is what I like to call it. Like when I got married, I was a ready-made dad. Like it was like I had no kids, and when we got married, I had 3 kids overnight. So they were all small. The youngest being 2, almost 3. But I think about it and what you just said, like I really and I don't know how common this is. I tried hard, actively for years, a decade at least, to try to get their biological dad and my wife to have a cordial relationship for the sake of the kids. It didn't. I had no insecurity about it.
Right.
It didn't bother me if they would talk. Like I wasn't concerned about that because that's about my pride and insecurity. Like that's not about the kids. I was putting them first over my own feelings, over what was comfortable, over what was comfortable for them. And I was talking to them both and like just really trying to get them to open up. And to this day, it never happened.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a lack of effort. Eventually, my wife, like, she accepted that was something that the kids needed. And she got mostly like over how she felt in her bad experience, because they both had a bad experience. It takes 2 people to screw up a marriage. Because I've been through a divorce too. Like it takes 2 people to screw up a marriage. So because even if one person makes a mistake, the other person has to make a choice to leave. And that's not what y'all committed to. So like it takes 2 people to screw it up and 2 people to make it right.
Yep.
And so just like any divorce, they screwed it up, right? And just like I did. So it's like, okay, well, now fast forward is what it is. You're past that. Now you got these kids.
Yeah.
So like, are you gonna be cool for the sake of the kids? Are you gonna show them something that they can see is like healthy?
Yeah.
You don't need to be together, just healthy.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's unique. Like I think a lot of people experience that. And it was so interesting that we couldn't get to a place earlier where the kids saw, okay, mom and dad being me in this instance, are married and good, and we are living with them, and that is great.
Right.
I also do not feel neglected by my biological father, and I know I'm important to him.
Right.
Like that's all they need.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's what they're not getting. And you sending child support is not that.
Right.
And the mother talking bad about the dad is also not that.
Right.
Or the mother not even talking bad, just having an attitude with him. The child can pick up on, you don't like him.
Yeah.
So I should not like him.
Yeah.
Especially a boy. Because boys protect. So like I think when you think about costs, like don't think, just extrapolate that out. So now boys bitter toward fathers,
right,
and authority. Daughters are seeking fatherly and male companionship and acceptance, so much so that they'll do anything for it.
Right.
Mothers are bitter toward men in general. I'm talking worst cases.
Right. Right.
Mothers are bitter toward men in general. Men who they encounter who aren't the father in the future are like, why are you bitter toward me? Like they don't understand it. Even though statistically, there's 1 out of 2 chance they were the son in a marriage and they went through the same thing.
Right.
So it's a vicious cycle of costs that in order to break that cycle, you really have to be willing to have conversations like the ones we're having here.
Everything you described speaks to like why people have to humble themselves.
Sure.
Because you might think, oh man, I'm doing this well. I'm a boss mom. I work. I'm there for my kid. But you when you in your example, you said it's possible that a son that doesn't have a father in his life can have issue with authority figures.
Mm-hmm.
You can't fix that. Not with being a boss mom. He's got to heal. He might need to sit down and have that hard conversation with his dad and develop a respect, even with all his flaws, the dad's flaws. So it's like, I get like we think we made it work, but you don't really see the consequences of all this stuff. You don't see how like you gave the example of like a daughter,
Yeah.
Like you don't see all that stuff till down the road. And so I think it's important, like even as we adjust as a society to all these issues that we have, and we think we're doing a great job of it. Like if you're really honest, if something's designed to work a certain way and you keep working it a different way, you put pressure on other parts and eventually stuff starts to break down. You start to see, oh, this wasn't as good as I thought it was. Mm-hmm. So it speaks to like kind of what we've been talking about here lately is that it is important for that kid to have have balanced input from both parents as much as possible. And we acknowledge like there are all kinds of reasons why this is not happening.
Sure.
But as much as it's in your power to do so in a healthy way, you want to make sure that that mom, that dad, that respect factor, that like all those things, if we can make it possible for those to be present, we should try to facilitate that.
That's right. That's right. Because you're not like to every mother out there who hears this and every father out there who hears this, you are not doing it for you. You're not even doing it necessarily for your child. Your child might be 34.
Mm.
You're doing it for your grandchild, your great grandchild. Because if you think the impact of that dynamic stops at your child, you are mistaken.
Right.
It 100% of the time will not stop with your child.
Right.
Because they will carry that bag that y'all have never discussed into that grandchild. That grandchild will take it into their children. Like it is a perpetual cycle. I would even go so far as to call it a family curse. Like it is a thing that Satan is just putting right on you,
yeah.
and we're just letting it be.
Yeah.
And look, like we're not. I think I speak for both of us to say like neither of us are saying this like we got this figured out either. Like these are things that we're battling with, day in day out with our families because we want to make sure that we don't let those curses go past our generations, and it's something that we have to accept our role in, and whether that's our role in creating it. Or whether it's our fault or not, our role in solving it.
Right.
Like so it doesn't matter how it got here. Like if we're talking about it, we're acknowledging that it's an issue.
Right.
Then it's our issue. It's our issue to solve. It doesn't matter whose fault it is.
Right.
And that's something that I hope every mother and father who hears this takes in, because you solving this problem will not look the same as your friend's relationship solving the problem. Every like you said earlier, Mark, like the reasons why it's that way. There's all kinds of reasons. Those really don't matter in the grand scheme. You're going to have to figure that out and work through those things yourself. Like and they're going to vary. And you might not get advice that's like a silver bullet from somebody. It might not be a silver bullet. It's just working through it.
Yeah.
And you'll be better for it. He or she will be better for it on the other side of the table. And your child and grandchildren will be better for it. But are you willing to do that work?
That's the real question. Because doing that work it might be painful. If you're somebody who went through a divorce for whatever reason, and you have certain kind of feelings towards the other person, and you can make it work without them, that's a very humbling thing to say. Yeah, but my child needs that person, so let me suck it up. Let me forgive. Let me work through whatever past trauma there is, so that my daughter, my son can have their other parent in their life. Mm-hmm. That's some work.
That's some work. And it all, like if you're wondering like why would I do that work? We'll just remind you what we started with. In the US,
yeah,
the steady rise in the biggest demographic of family structures is single mother households, not single parent, single mother households. The single mother homes experience higher economic vulnerability, meaning financial challenges, compared to married couple households. Mothers often carry the majority of emotional labor, childcare responsibility, and household management, even in two-parent homes. Like if you're wondering, like, why should I do this? Think, do you want your son and daughter to fit into that demographic of what I just said?
Right.
Those are not our stats. Like those are right from, a myriad of reports that get reported on from different demographics. And I think we all know, like in certain communities, certain ethnic communities like our communities, these stats sometimes run high.
Right.
So like we got to be intentional about it unless we're cool with it.
And that, in some places that it has become like, hey, this is my baby mama, that's my baby daddy.
Yeah.
It can become like almost like a cool type thing, and it's like we don't want to go down that path because it's not cool.
Yeah.
Right. We could probably pull up a plethora of other stats that will show you it's not cool. And I realized when I went through a divorce, I realized no matter how healthily we try to do this, there's now a chance we've modeled this from my children. There's a good chance that this is going to be an option for them if and when they get married down the road. And that's like, that bothers me, but I'm going to I had to let them know this is the path we chose for whatever reason. This is not what we want this to look like. Even though this is the model you're getting, I need to keep the standard. I want to show you but you want a healthy family. Like, this is what you want. This is the model you want. So, but the reality is, like, I've now modeled what it looks like to have a divorce and then have blended families. Like, and it is what it is. But like, I still want to hold up the standard of like, man, you want to have a healthy family, right? And the consequences are there. It's just, are we going to accept that and like take the responsibility upon ourselves to say, hey, I need to be a part of the solution.
Yeah.
Like I want to be a part of the solution. I don't want to make excuses for like why, but this is why I went through it. And I mean, that's understandable, but it's like at the end of the day, like, but I want to push my kids towards having healthy relationships down the road with their spouse, with their own children, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like, it's our responsibility.
Agreed. And I think that ties into your comment earlier about why, how it might sound like that we're kind of like putting this more on men to fix, and we're also highlighting where men are not showing up more. A lot of that also is something you just said to trigger this thought, and then we'll wrap it up. Is like why might it seem that way? It's because that's exactly what we're doing, because we're two men talking. Like we're two brothers talking to men. We're not necessarily challenging women on this podcast. We're using information and data and perspective to challenge the people that we can speak to the most. Two men, like we don't understand what it's like to be a mother or a woman, and we'll never understand that.
Right.
But we do know what it's like to be fathers and brothers and sons. We know what it's like to be men. We know what it's like to not perform as men. We know what it's like to perform as men.
Right.
So because everybody's done it, everybody's made the mistakes. Like, we all have been through it. So we're gonna speak to you.
Right.
We're gonna speak to you, and we're gonna challenge you. And we hope that you pick that challenge up, because men are the ones that we know. It might not be your fault, but it's your problem to solve.
Yeah. I like how you put that.
It doesn't matter about fault. Don't let your pride get in the way of solving the problem. Like, it's just about solving the problem. God put something in you that is made and built special just for this, just for solving the family dynamic. And solving that problem will solve so many other problems.
Right.
That's why it's hard to solve. Solving a single issue that has one layer is easy to solve. Right? It's really easy to solve.
Right.
Solving a multi-layered issue, you wonder why it's so hard. It's because it's a multi-layered issue.
Right.
It's because you have to get to the core of it to solve it. And that's going to start with you looking in the mirror, seeing what you can do.
Right.
Not how you're bad, seeing what else you could do.
Right.
Right. So I guess just to wrap it up,
okay.
like when you think about, I'm gonna pivot it back, toward the healing part of the mother and like what we can do. Because we always kind of walk away with some offerings of like suggestions. So when you think about what we can do as men to help with healing on healing of our mothers in our lives, whether it's our actual mother or it's our wives, and and our daughters who are mothers, people like that, like what are some suggestions from you? What are some of the things you feel like we could do to help with that healing?
I think what we're doing on this podcast, challenging men, because we're speaking to men, I think that's one of the number one things we can do is challenge each other, hold each other accountable. Another thing you said is like, it may not be our fault, but it is our responsibility to try to find try to find a solution. Because the person whose fault I know for a fact is that child. He didn't get to choose his parents. He didn't get to choose what kind of home he was going to be born into, or he or she was going to be born into. So it's like, it definitely isn't their responsibility to solve this problem. They carry all the negative consequences of these other two people not being able to figure this thing out. So as much as we can as men to look in the mirror and deal with ourselves, and as much as we are able to take on the responsibility of maybe even, being present in other young men or young women's lives, if you can do that, great, but do something. right? Like that's the challenge, is like do something to try to heal this whole family dynamic that is so important to our society. We can try to pretend like it's not, and kind of like have these different things that kind of morph off of our brokenness. But at the end of the day, we want to try to heal the brokenness. That's the ideal situation. So I think as men, we accept the challenge of like, what can I do? I'm not telling you what you need to do, but I'm saying like at least answer the question for yourself. Like, what am I able to do to be a part of the solution?
Agreed. That's very well put. I think the other thing too is like we need to do a little bit of a reset with ourselves and with the people that are closest to us in that situation.
Okay.
On what the expectations are. Like you said earlier, you hit it right on the head, and you said that you don't need to be married or even together. Like if y'all divorced or y'all not together or you're bad together, like fine. Like that is what it is. That has nothing to do with what kind of parents you can be or how you can show up for your child together. Because you might not be together, but you do have to show up for your child together to give them the optimal chance to not be part of these stats. And the numbers say it. Like it's you can deny it all you want. Like, oh, well, that's not me. No, it is the number. Like these are objective. This is data points. They're not emotional. So then like take a step back and understand what is the expectation I should have with how I show up and how my son's mother or father should show up, whoever's on the other side of the table from you.
Right.
But what is that expectation? And then let's have that conversation. Where do you need me to show up? Not where have I not shown up?
Right.
It's not about the past because it don't matter about fault anymore.
Right.
It's going to be the hardest thing for everybody to get over.
Right.
Because it don't matter. Okay, you're right. So if you're like your child's still damaged and you're continuing to damage them by not accepting, not worrying about if you're right or not, or not worrying about who did more damage, but just worrying about what we can do going forward.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like set the expectation. Our child needs X, Y, and Z. Of the two of us, which of us is best positioned to give them this? Sometimes it's going to be me. Sometimes it's going to be you. Sometimes it's going to be us both. And now the expectations are set. And then you work through that. Because that's about today and tomorrow. It's not about yesterday. But having that conversation and resetting expectations, I think now you can see the family unit expectation set with someone assigned to it. It's almost like a project at school or at work. Like it don't really matter what your job title is or which student it is. Everything's got to be assigned because it's all got to get done.
Right.
If you love your child, like it's all got to get done. So it doesn't matter about traditional sets and all that stuff. It doesn't matter what a traditional family looks like, or if she's providing more money than I am, it makes me feel bad, or he's doing he's providing, so he's gonna get all this credit. Like you got to let all that go.
Yeah.
All that has to go. And it's just, is my child gonna get what he or she needs, and is gonna see what a real functional family unit looks like, together or not?
I think your life was the example you gave earlier was a perfect example. Is you wanted to make sure that your children had both parents working together for the sake of the child. So you could have easily been like, yeah, I'm good with this. I don't want the other person.
Sure.
You could, I mean, like that's.
And I was tempted to.
Yeah, that's an easy route. But you said, man, I'm going to take on the responsibility of like, I want, as much as I can, I'm going to have these tough conversations and say, hey, y'all, I think y'all need to like do a little bit more to make sure y'all both are like co-parenting well. We forever come up. We could talk about excuses all day long.
Sure.
Well, every time we talk, we get into the argument. Okay, get a mediator, because it's like it's the child. Like the child suffers. You can move on with your life, meet somebody new, y'all do your thing, but the child, you cannot avoid. The child is going to suffer outside of like some kind of abuse. Not talking about that.
Right.
But all the other stuff that we talk about and that keep us from allowing the other parent to be present, like it's not the child's fault. Now, if the other person like just doesn't want to be there, you might want to look at a mentor. Like, like I'm not, these aren't cookie cutter solutions.
That's right.
Right. It's just real life. And at the end of the day, it's that child that carries a lot of that burden of how we handle our issues.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. 100% agree. Well, so that was the mother factor, strength, healing, and love. what we can do about it. Of course, we're speaking to encourage men to action, as it relates to, to like our kind of call to action, so to speak, that we always end with. We did. So Alonda, thank you, because you were, I saw your note and I responded, but you were absolutely right. There was an audio issue earlier, and it was on the internet. So as we saw when the internet went down,
That's what was causing
that. It was glitching in the background. So we apologize for that. That's why we went a little long, because we wanted to make sure we caught the essence of what we were trying to get out to, and felt compelled to get out to to the audience. So thank you for calling that out, and we appreciate it. We were listening, and I wanted to just highlight you and say thank you.
Thank you, Miss E.
Yep. So God bless y'all. We hope that this helps somebody somewhere, and that's our whole charter. We're Mark and Burrell, and two brothers talking. We'll catch y'all next time.